too, Sam. But there's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile. And it's worth fighting for.
Welcome, everyone, to a Cast of Kings, a decoding TV podcast that has been, up until this point, covering everything in the Game of Thrones universe and is now stepping over into the land of Middle-earth as we journey into Lord of the Rings, leading up to Season 3 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 3, later this November. Whew, lot to say. I am one of your hosts, Jessie Earl, a huge Lord of the Rings fan since basically birth. I am a good introduction to this. This is great. I'm going to keep it this way. And I'm joined, as always, by
Kim Renfro.
Hello, Kim.
The jolly companion on our journey here.
Yeah.
To Middle-earth.
Am I the Sam or are you the Sam? Are you Frodo?
Oh, golly. Don't make me pick.
You're Frodo. I'll be Sam. It's great. You can be the one who carries the burden.
Great. I needed Sam's pep talk this week, so.
Yeah, I'll be your Sam. There are things worth living for, and it's this podcast, Kim. Well, today we have a very special guest, someone who I'm very excited to have with us. She is the writer of numerous sci-fi novels, including her most recent, Apostles of Mercy, but many of you probably know her from her eponymous YouTube channel where she makes amazing videos, including, most relevantly, her Hugo Award-nominated videos on the making of the Hobbit films. It's none other than my friend, Lindsay Ellis. Yay!
Yay! If I could remember how to say hi in Elvish, I would, but that was high school, friends.
Oh, well, now I'm disappointed. Now I just, why are you even here?
That's a good point. My experience is what we call, how do you say dilettante in Elvish?
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, because there was a point when me and some friends learned Quenya enough that we could like pass notes in it, because it's pretty similar to like Devanagari, the Hindi scripture, which is like, I think, much easier to read than like Japanese or katakana, but like they're quite similar. So it's actually like it's actually not a terribly difficult script, but you do have to keep at it. And sadly, I have not. So if you pass me a note in Quenya,
you're not using it every single day? Come on.
Not every yeah. It's just my Quenya's pretty rusty.
It's better than my mother refused to buy me the Klingon dictionary that they have for Star Trek, because she's like, look, you're already too much of a nerd. I don't need you speaking Klingon to other kids.
Rude.
So, yeah. I was very disappointed. Yeah, I should have been able to learn Klingon.
Yeah, I studied Irish language because I very mistakenly got it in my head that Tolkien was inspired by Irish, or like took a little bit of Irish in some of his fictional languages, which I now know is not accurate, but it feels accurate.
Yeah, it feels right. We go on vibes. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like most of our history today is all just vibes based anyways. It's great. It's wonderful. I love that for us.
Yeah.
Well, today we are going to be continuing our long walk through Middle-earth with The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers Extended Edition, which was directed by Peter Jackson with a screenplay by Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, Stephen Sinclair, and Jackson himself, and was, of course, based on the book by J.R.R. Tolkien. It was released in the United States on December 5th, 2022, almost one full year after The Fellowship of the Ring. But before we poison you with our words, like Grima Wormtongue with today's episode, please don't forget, if you want to support a Cast of Kings, as well as other shows on the Decoding TV network, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at decodingtv.com for ad-free episodes and bonus content. But now, to get into our actual discussion, I just wanted to start off with both of you. What do you both think of The Two Towers when you watched it? Like, especially right now, like coming back to it. Lindsay, I'll let you start off since you're the guest.
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking about like what makes a 10 out of 10 movie? Is it like presence of good or absence of bad? Because I used to say, like, because I have a lot of criticisms of these movies, but I kind of used to say that like I still consider it a 10 out of 10 anyway, because it's just like the highs are so high. That said, I'm not sure if I really stick by that anymore. I feel like it might be a 9, Two Towers, and Return of the King. To me, Fellowship is 10 out of 10. But yeah, I know it's like that. It would be boring for me to talk about that one because my reaction to Fellowship is just like
You did good.
Pretty good. You did good, kids. And it was like, I have a lot more to criticize about both Two Towers and Return of the King. Like the extended Return of the King is probably my least favorite of any of all of the cuts. And I'm honestly kind of glad we're not doing Return of the King, because that would just, especially the extended, that would just be Debbie Downer. You know, because obviously there is a lot to like, but like I feel like the Two Towers is interesting because it was like this combination of, you know, the coming off of the high of Fellowship being such a success, with the pressure following that, but also like they had a lot more money, you know, and then they could do all these reshoots, and then it kind of maybe got a little too bloated, and so then not all the reshoots were bad. Like, did you know that the ents, I think, were a reshoot. The whole Isengard sequence.
Oh, really? I did not
was
actually know that.
Yeah, it was that wasn't originally there, and like it was either at the tail end of original photography or during reshoots that they were like, because I know that was like one of the last things they animated, which in hindsight is wild to think about. Like that they basically originally filmed it like it was in the book, where it's just like everybody shows up and was like, huh, you guys really fucked some shit up, didn't you?
I do like, we'll talk about it when we get there. I do like the ents in this movie quite a lot. Like, I love their little freak little faces. They all look so weird and distinct. It's
Jessie,
fun.
I love that you and I never agree on anything. Truly,
we never do. I feel like you and I will like generally agree on something, like the overall idea, but then when we get into the nitty-gritty, we have vastly different opinions.
Okay, we're gonna spend like an hour talking about ents. Don't worry, everybody.
It'll be great. Kim, what did you think of Two Towers?
I love this movie as a sequel, like as an example of, I think, like a really successful way to do a sequel. And exactly to your point, Lindsay, like the fact that it was pulled off under this sort of like unique pressure cooker a year after Fellowship, like that is wild. I know, I think you said 2022 when you were reading the intro, Jessie, but I'm like, it's very surreal to me to think that this was 2000, like fully 24 years ago. I know. And like, yes, I find, especially rewatching it now, but the theme has always been there and has always resonated with me of like what it means to need to be resilient in the face of circumstances you wish weren't happening, and all of the different ways that people can kind of like gather and curry and protect that sense of hope, I think is just a really beautiful overall theme that all of the characters go through in this movie, while also like we're seeing an escalation of the death and the doom and the threat leading up to all of these epic battles. So yeah, I needed this rewatch this week especially. Yeah,
coming at a good time for life reasons. Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I'm kind of in the middle. Whereas, like, I feel like my memory puts this movie as the best one. I think as a little kid, I would have articulated this as my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. But rewatching it, especially growing older, I see a lot more of the flaws in this one, I think, than any of the Lord of the Rings movies. Yeah. I think it's probably the weakest structurally. Again, with excluding like the extended cuts.
Finally, we agree on something.
Yeah. But that being said, I will say I do think there are some of my favorite moments of the whole series in this movie. Like there are some really great things in here that I really do like. But yeah, just looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some flaws. There's definitely some flaws. Why get the little fake out Aragorn death at certain points in this thing.
And the horse kissies.
Oh, you don't like the horse kissies?
And yeah, because I remember. So Two Towers is probably my favorite of the three books. Mm-hmm. And it features, I think, my favorite character out of any of Tolkien's universe. I'll give you one guess as to who that is.
Ooh, I actually don't know. Now that I know, Faramir.
It's Gollum.
Oh, okay, Gollum. Yes,
yeah. So it's so like that, it was very loaded for me going in. But like my favorite chapter, probably out of all of the Lord of the Rings, is Treebeard chapter. It's like 2 out of in the Two Towers, and I think Peter Jackson and I are in serious disagreement about that one because he did not like Treebeard. He was not interested in the ents. And I think like at the time, I remember like all of these old heads really not jiving with Peter Jackson. And at the time, I remember not really understanding that or just disagreeing with it. But now, with the power of hindsight, I feel like I understand that a lot more because Jackson has this restlessness that really is kind of at odds with Tolkien as a oeuvre, because a lot of the appeal of his books is just, we're going to chill, we're like, yeah, we're at war, but we're going to sit and really think about what we're protecting, what are we fighting for, particularly like the lay of the land. And the ents are like the living embodiment of that. They are this idea made into characters. And so to someone to whom that doesn't really appeal, it's going to be kind of boring. And so I definitely feel like that is sort of my biggest kind of cognitive dissonance, is just the way that he changed Treebeard into like as actiony, but then like a comic relief character. And then, back to actiony as he could. And that's just not what appealed to me about those chapters.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, I do remember as a kid reading that and being like, oh, this is just very, like, even that Merry and Pippin comment upon, like, oh, we're like, can we hurry the hell up? and it being like, no, we're going to take our time. We're going to deliberate. It's going to be very thoughtful. Yeah.
It's like, we have a running tension. There is a tension driving this plot.
Go. You must have it done. Go.
We set up
the audience needs to be reminded of the stakes.
Which is why we'll have random wargs showing up at different points to make sure we remember that there's action happening. All right. Well, let us get into I wanted to share a few fun facts about this movie before we get into our actual discussion here. So one of the interesting things that was always a big debate is the meaning of the title itself has like many different interpretations of it. What was kind of changed for this, Tolkien considered several possible versions of the Two Towers of what he meant, but he mainly, at least unless Lindsay, you may know better than I do, but he seems to identify them as like Minas Morgul and Orthanc. Whereas the film,
as far as I know, he died being like, "Look, I don't know, man. They made
me
do it. Like, mood. I have been there. I know how you feel. Buddy. When they put a gun to your head and make you pick a tile, I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. But the film very clearly makes that Orthanc in Barad-dûr, and then openly has like Saruman presenting himself as like a servant to Sauron, whereas in the book is kind of a little bit more of a rivalry between these two and a lot more tension than is presented in the film here. So that was one interesting thing. The movie has made, as of at least of right now, as far as I could check, in theaters, $945 billion on a budget of
billion.
Sorry, million. I did not mean million. Excuse me.
Like
wrong.
GDP of
yes.
like the GDP of the UK.
Yes. I mean, it's a successful franchise,
right? Inflation and the constant re-releases in the theaters, like wow.
Yeah, sure, that really got it there.
Stranger Things.
It's not as big as Stranger Things, I guess. No, no, but yeah, $945 million on a budget of $94 million. Which is
can you imagine a movie being made for $94 million?
I made that point last week. I'm like, these movies are, because that's $94 million is like the reshoot money. Like they had a budget of like $60 million going into each film for each film. Like total, it was like 100 and something, over 180 million, but like 60 million for each film, which is wild today. Like ridiculous. I think. It's like what, 400 million for just Avengers Doomsday today, whatever it is, plus whatever it is marketing wise. And also should mention, at the Academy Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Picture, Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, but only won Best Visual Effects and Best Sound Editing because we were saving all that for Return of the King as sort of like a franchise.
It didn't win mixing?
No, not that, at least not that I had.
Like usually, because whoever wins editing always wins mixing. That's why they finally like mixing they got rid of. Like so for the longest time, and because this is like an industry insider thing, like you know, like the difference between mixing and editing, most people don't know. And like now having done both, like yes, they are extremely different. But everyone kind of you know, in their minds, like kind of lumps them together. And so whoever won mixing always won editing. And so they were like, you know what, there's no point in separating it. I think well, the main reason is because usually it's a completely different department who does the mixing. So it's like whoever does the editing never does the mixing just because that's a different skill. It's never really done in-house in the same way that sound editing is, but people think they're the same. So they're just like, okay, like people who did the editing, people who did the mixing, no, you've never met, you've never worked together, but you're getting an award together. Shake hands, high five.
Can you explain like I'm five it for me really quick? Of like,
oh well, I mean, sound editing is like editing. So basically, it's like the Foley and the sound effects, and it's like the more creative side. Whereas mixing is basically kind of mixing the levels, but also like
what pans, like what
goes on like creating the atmosphere for Dolby 5.1 and you're also kind of doing it live, and so it's that's why if you've ever been to like a professional mixing stage, they are like the length of several grand pianos. It's it's a metric fuck ton of knobs that you're just kind of like going like nying, nying, nying.
It's actually it's very fun.
It's like playing an instrument. So why these people at the top of their levels have these like ginormous mixing boards, and they do it in a movie sized theater. Like because like the time I met Michael Bay was, I believe, at the Paramount mixing stage. They did some Transformers something. I don't know. I was in film school. This was one squillion and 7 years ago. but yeah, they do them in these like enormous sound stages, or not sound stages, in these like enormous theaters that like are movie size, so you can do it correctly. It's very cool and it's very different. So it makes logical sense that they'd be separated. But in terms of awards, it is my favorite part, because usually you do it last, at least in the things that I've made. And so it's like you always do it last. It's the very last thing. Yeah, and so it's like kind of comes together, and you can be like, "Ooh, look! It all sounds so nice and pretty." It's very cool. It's like, wow, it sounds so professional. So according to, and this is going off of Wikipedia, so like Wikipedia may be wrong, but according to Wikipedia, it only won Best Sound Editing and Best Visual Effects, was nominated for what was, again, I guess called at that time just Best Sound, not Best Sound Mixing. Okay, so maybe they separated them and then put them back together. Maybe. Because I guess talk amongst yourself. that's what Wikipedia, that is what Wikipedia is telling me. So according to this, Chicago won Best Sound. That makes sense. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers won Best Sound Editing. But it was nominated for both. Blame Chicago for I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so Chicago won mixing. Yes. Lord of the Rings won editing. I think this is a Chicago one because it's a musical. Come on. So it was merged back in 2021. So it is presently now Best Sound, but between 1982 and 2020, it was 2 separate categories. Yes. Well, anyways, now that we've solved that we've spent 20 minutes splitting hairs on the difference between sound editing and sound mixing. Yes, we're gonna dig too deep and dive into Kim's amazing breakdown. And we are back with a Cast of Kings, a Decoding TV podcast. And just to let everyone know, by the way, if you want to get video versions of this podcast, we have moved our videos over from the main Decoding TV YouTube channel over to a Cast of Kings own dedicated YouTube channel at youtube.com/@acastofkings. So if you want to see our lovely faces, all 3 of our lovely, beautiful, amazing faces, you can head over to there. But with that said, let's jump into, again, Kim's wonderful summaries. Thank you again, Kim, for writing all of these. You are amazing.
My pleasure.
All right, we start off with the Two Towers opens with the familiar sounds of Gandalf fending off the Balrog on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, but this time the siege continues past Gandalf's fall, and we see the entire epic duel between wizard and demon as they fall down into the bottom of Moria. So yeah, what do we think about this opening? I remember, I'll just start us off, being so happy because I told last week I did not know that Gandalf lived at this point when I watched this, and so I saw this opening. I'm like,
I went because you were like 5.
I was very young, yeah. And my dad, I told this story to Kim last week. My dad, when after we saw the movie, I'm like, I'm so upset Gandalf had died, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That's just death, man.
That's how life is like that, man. You gotta pick him up and keep on trucking.
Exactly. And then
Sam.
Yeah, and then we opened with this, and I'm like, I knew he was. I literally remember turning to my dad. I was like, I knew he was alive. He's gonna survive. Why else would they show us this? I had media literacy back then. It was great. Yeah.
Can't put one over on me.
Either of you two like this old man fight with the giant Balrog?
I loved it. This remains to me, like, again, like one of my favorite openings for a movie that I've ever seen, probably for similar reasons. By this point, I had gone and read the books. And so I came into watching this movie for the first time knowing that we were getting Gandalf the White. But I was just totally thrilled to see this sort of like instant gratification of it, of like coming back to that point. Also, because we didn't talk about it enough last pod, I feel like we need to also just shout out New Zealand and the landscape shots. And again, like the helicopter view of these mountains and the sunrise. And once again, we're having like an overview of dialogue to the visuals. And I just think like immediately sucks you right back into this world. And you're like right there in the stakes of what is going on. And particularly, I think like one of my favorite shots in the whole movie is that the fall that you see as they're coming into like this big underground lake cavern, and like all of a sudden like the scale of what is happening, like, you know, that little like switch flips in your brain. And I just again like remained in awe of like the tiny little things that add to the world building of this place. And like the understanding that him falling into that chasm meant he was falling like miles down into like the core of the earth, but like there's still these lakes and like mysteries that haven't been uncovered.
I remember the first time I read the book, like the image of like, and I fell all the way down, and then somehow we end up on top of the mountain, and I like the implication is that like they walked, and so like this image of like them like having to hoof it, like, you know, with like their
water break,
Stanley water bottle. Like,
it's just like, hey man, you like we'll fight up there. I know we're getting to a big climax thing, but do you need like a break
man, it's
or whatever?
hot down here. Do you want to fight outside? Let's just like let's take a breather. I'll meet you upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Frodo then awakens from a nightmare related to Gandalf, so we implied he's getting visions of this, and we catch up with the fact that he and Sam have been lost in the rocky landscape that stands between them and Mount Doom. But navigation isn't their only challenge, because Frodo and Sam realize that Gollum has been stalking them, and the two hobbits lay a trap. Gollum, or should we say Smeagol, becomes their traveling guide and prisoner. All right, what do you think of this sequence? Lindsay, I'll toss it to you first.
Because I'm going back, I'm going to sound like a broken record thinking about the book, because like they came with this really interesting challenge that they did not have at Fellowship, which is how to go back and forth chronologically, because the book obviously does not do that. The book splits them. So like it starts with Aragorn and Co, and does all of their entire narrative, and then Frodo and Sam, and it goes all the way from what the sequence that you just described to the end of Shelob. So like the end of the book, they get into Mordor. They're in Mordor, which obviously doesn't happen in this movie. So I guess we can talk about that when we get there. But yeah, there was a lot riding on this. And I remember being like really hype about it because, you know, I was really nervous about how they were going to handle Gollum, because it's such an easy to fuck up character. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, or have you hit it yet?
We haven't hit it in our talk through yet, but oh my god, I'm planning on getting a tattoo. I think I've told you this. Maybe I've told you this. I'm planning on getting a tattoo of that little freak Gollum on my arm.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love that one.
What was his name?
You had the judgment I felt in that. Oh,
that's
not the Ralph Bakshi, the Rankin Bass one.
No, okay, yeah.
Yes, yes.
What is his name? It's like
yeah, the Rankin Bass is one that I meant. Is what I've.
Yeah. If it was Ralph Bakshi, I'd be a little concerned.
You were being so nice there for a second because I sensed such judgment in your voice. You're like, oh yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I'm sure someone out there who is listening to this does have the it's such a creepy
live your bliss.
Yeah, it's such a creepy little like it's because he sounds like just a guy. He doesn't have like a he's kind of like nice hobbit, like he's not really doing much of an affect. So I feel like the guy who does it in the Rankin and Bass kind of does that too. So for Andy Serkis to go as far as he did was kind of a choice because none of the previous Gollums had like such a distinctive affect to their voice. And man, we flew so close to the Jar Jar son. You know what I mean? Like it could have been bad. So I think it really is a testament to like his skills as an actor, like that it worked out so well and everybody loved it. Because I feel like everybody was like really nervous going in, especially after Fellowship was like this adult smashing success, and now you have this character that's basically like E.T. and Jar Jar but evil, and it could go so bad. But I really love characters like that. And I think his introduction is really great because he's framed as like this movie monster. And then when the sun rises, you kind of see he's kind of like this weird baby looking thing and like is crying and like, please, it hurts, It's so good. I love this. I love most of Gollum in these movies.
Yeah. Kim, what do you think?
Yeah, I put in my notes here that like Smeagol through Andy Serkis's line readings is like so freaking funny at times, and I was like, that's an unexpected, I think, quirk to the character. And yes, like beginning of that with him just like like the wailing.
Like this unexpected, it's kind of unexpected where he's like yeah, I'm gonna Frodo has the knife at his throat, and like the fact that he starts crying is kind of unexpected because there was that deliberate babiness to he is childlike in the way that, like, as Andy Serkis said, that children can be really evil. They kill things frequently without realizing what they're doing. They are extremely selfish and very id driven, and they can be really cruel, but at the same time there is that like you immediately feel bad for him because there's that innate like, oh, there's a baby and it's crying.
Yeah.
And like the fact that I think if you haven't read the books and you don't know, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like, is it not because it's elvish rope? Like it is like literally kind of hurting him in a way.
The elvish rope is because he's so like been so corrupted by the ring that anything that is good and pure is going to physically hurt him.
And so like the fact that it's like loosely tied, and so it almost looks like he's protesting simply like having this loose bit of string around his neck, but like there's a deeper wound happening there. But like
it's a lot of people treat children like that, right? Where they think you're being dramatic, and it's just like, no, children of that age don't have that kind of manipulation. If they're screaming that badly, something is bothering them.
I also like it really works with how they portray Sam in this movie too, of like making Sam kind of very comes across as like cruel and mean towards Smeagol, and Frodo having this whole like, I need him to be good because I relate to him very heavily, and Sam not fully getting that. And I really liked that complication a lot with Sam not fully understanding the burden that Frodo has to deal with and how he like really wants to like connect with Smeagol and like redeem him. And also like tying into the stuff about like empathy and mercy that Gandalf talks about in the first movie as well. I thought was like really well articulated and portrayed as well. So
Yeah, I think that was a really smart change that they made because
Mhm.
it is kind of one note a little bit where it's like, yes, Frodo pities Gollum, but it doesn't really get any deeper than that. When
Mhm.
logically, yeah, like Gollum is quite literally like him and Bilbo are the only other ones that have gone through what Frodo's gone through, and Bilbo only kind of like creeped up to the edge, whereas
Mhm.
Gollum came by the ring in such a violent way that he was kind of doomed from the get-go. But regardless of how they came about the ring, like this is kind of, I don't think it runs necessarily against the um the core of
Themes.
the book,
Mhm.
although I guess that is one thing that I don't love about these movies 2 and 3 is what they did with Sam,
Mm.
especially in Return of the King, where he's just like a full-on abuser, like,
Yeah.
like,
There is that, yeah.
yeah, which we're not talking about today, but like, yeah, and because the warning signs are here in the Two Towers, where it's one thing for Sam to be suspicious of Gollum. Of course, he is suspicious. He is suspicious in the book, but it kind of starts turning like going from suspicious, a very reasonable thing, to meanness and cruelty, and
Mhm.
that is something that like I always feel so weird when I bring up, because people are like, oh, I love Sam, and I'm just like, I don't love Sam in the movie, because he's mean in a way that Sam in the book is not. When people kind of lionize Sam for like the exact same reasons they lionize him in the book, which is his fidelity, and he's gonna carry the burden, and but like the addition of Sam being kind of mean and cruel to Gollum is something I don't love. I don't think it needs to be there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it hits that note in this movie, but I agree with you in Return of the King. I think it like rides the line decently well. I think there's like a scene in here where they like cook the potato scene,
Mhm.
but there's like it's an almost connecting moment between the two. It doesn't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
fully
yeah.
get there, but it's like an almost moment of like, oh, they almost connect, and I kind of like that, like almost getting there but not fully. And then at the end, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but Sam has that line at the end where he's like, "Oh, all's forgiven," right? And not actually taking the moment to like connect with Gollum and be
Right.
like, "Are you actually okay?" As like a human, or I guess not a human being, but a
Hmm.
being.
As a
But like,
hobbit being.
yeah, is like not getting there. I think that works as an arc for Sam in this movie really well. It's next movie where he just goes full on and into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's like the warning signs are there, but like he hadn't crossed the line yet in this one.
Mhm.
It's hard to watch because like he is otherwise such a compassionate and understanding
Guy.
character. And like
Yeah.
I think for me it didn't irk me because it felt believable within these movies as like his over the top protectiveness of
Well,
Frodo
no, I feel
coming
like it's
out.
rooted in jealousy more than it is protectiveness.
Oh.
And
Mm.
that's just not Sam, right? Like because if it was rooted in protectiveness, then he wouldn't feel threatened by Gollum in the way that it's kind of implied that he does whenever Frodo's like, he gets me, man.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in, like I said, I'm in the middle. I feel like it works in this movie, and I haven't rewatched Return of the King in a bit. We'll find out next week when we do that movie whether it works for me or not there. But I think it works for me in this film to a degree. So yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on this sequence that we want to touch upon, Kim, Lindsay?
I just wanted to quickly shout out that Frodo, like, effectively being the one to save Sam in this moment when they're trying to wrangle Gollum is such, like, a lovely little character bump from Fellowship, and, like, the comparison of all the hobbits at Weathertop and, like, their first kind of foray into needing
Right.
to be...
Frodo gets his action moment.
Frodo gets his action
After falling
moment.
down so many times.
Yeah.
Action Frodo beat. Yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
Justify. Yeah, it's great. I love it, especially when they just got knocked aside on Weathertop. We'd spent a lot of time just talking about that last week, which was fun. All right, well, jumping back over. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli have been doing some stalking of their own following the Uruk-hai who have captured Merry and Pippin. They're intercepted by the Riders of Rohan and baby, why am I blanking on his name now? Oh my god. Baby, what's his face? The boys. Oh my god. McCoy.
Carl Urban?
Someone help. Thank you. Someone
Oh.
help. Carl Urban. Baby Carl
I'm
Urban.
like, Eomar?
Man.
Yeah, baby Carl Urban, an exiled band of warriors who King Theoden has who has been exiled by Theoden, who has been compromised by Saruman's spells. So yes, what about all of this sequence, kind of even leading up into the Fangorn forest bit, as Merry and Pippin get into that? What do we think about all this?
Well, I think because as you guys know, Viggo Mortensen
Mhm.
broke into the film industry in 1985
Yeah.
with Peter Weir's Witness, starring
Mhm.
Harrison Ford, and so like he's really kind of carried that like stoic vulnerability throughout his entire career, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's really on display here.
Yeah, I love when he broke in that. Yeah. Yes, I really I think it's funny. One of my favorite bits in this movie is obviously we get the they're taking the hobbits to Isengard moment in this.
Yeah.
But I also remember in this film, even when I first thought of this, when it was in the first time I saw this movie, where Aragorn says, "What do your elf eyes see?" And I always go like, "Why has it got to be his elf eyes? Why can't it just be his eyes? Why does it got to be like?"
He's like, "Why you gotta make it about? Why you gotta make it about race?"
Yeah. What do your human eyes see, Aragorn? Come on.
I don't know. What do your trash eyes see?
Just because I have like 20/20 vision, man, doesn't have to mean you have to make it weird about it.
But you think I'm really good at basketball too.
But I do love, like, there's some moments in here that I love. I love the like Red Run Rises bit, like blood has been spilled this night thing of like, again, this idea that there's things in the world that sort of reflect violence. That sort of like carry the violence that feels like it's from Tolkien or has like a very like
yeah, that's a
spirit to it.
movie original. That's
Yeah.
that's a Philippa. I guess I think like I want to think that most of the lines that feel Tolkien but aren't are Philippa Boyan's originals.
Mhm. Yeah, they're very good, and I really like that sequence a lot. One thing that is interesting here too is we do get baby Carl Urban as Eomer here, which is not a change from the book and him being presented here, but like him being exiled is like a whole added thing from the book. So because like they need to like have him go away and then come back to be the one that rescues them at Helm's Deep, which is like an interesting like change.
Wait, but since we're talking about the extended, we introduce Eomer before this, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, we meet the like because first we meet the Rohirrim and we find Theodred and we go all the way back to and you're like, oh no, he's dying, and it's just like stuff that like logically makes sense, but like Theodred is such a weird kind of plot cul-de-sac for a movie because it's like, here's a character that doesn't really matter, so it's like we're going to introduce him and then he immediately dies. I think it was smart to cut that for the theatrical cut. But yeah, like there's like an entire like 5 minutes added before we get back to, first he's got to get banished and then Wormtongue's men kick him in the nuts and that's why he's riding around.
Yeah, I also I love that one bit in there where like Wormtongue gets like the thing. It's like it was signed this morning when it's like just like bureaucrat energy. Like I just got it signed this morning. Ha 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 ha.
It's like, oh, you're just now telling me?
Yeah, I came back. There's a whole thing that's going on. But yeah, Kim, what do you think about all this sequence?
I noted that I found the way that the cuts were done around the extended scenes filmed, I thought was very clever, and like it's very economical the way that it's like in the theatrical release. You just start with Eomer and Eowyn at Theodred's bedside, and then cut to your son is badly wounded, my king, and then obviously the king is in dire straits. And yes, exactly, like that little signature kind of says everything that you need to know. Plus, like the inclusion of Grima kind of having that little like threatening look or like that covetous look at Eowyn. It's like it's a very tight way to introduce the dynamics of what's happening.
Have you watched my sister?
It's like, all right, gotta be.
It's like we're establishing the relationships. Yeah, deeply confusing for a theatrical audience. Yeah, because it's like going in, because I remember when Fellowship came out. Do you remember how no one could tell Boromir and Aragorn apart?
Oh
like, yeah. So I feel like this time there would have been even more of that, where it's like you have Eomer who's like barely in it, doesn't really matter as far as like the plot goes, except for at the very end when he comes and saves the day. So it's like obviously we need to establish him, but it's just like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter for like a 1 or 2 time theatrical audience, where it's just like, does it matter that their sister brother? No. Are they the king's children? No, but it doesn't really matter. So there's a lot of really confusing familial relationships that like get a little more attention in the extended version, but either way it's like it's so rushed that it still kind of comes off a little confusing.
Yeah,
IMHO.
Yeah, it's great. I also love the Gimli Legolas stuff. We're very good over short distances.
Right. Yeah. This was like because Gimli becomes the comic relief character for the next two movies.
Yes,
Which is another thing that I think people still kind of have mixed feelings on.
Mm.
I'm mostly okay with it. I feel like it gives him something to do because, like, let's be real, like the reason Gimli is here is he's a representative. He doesn't have like a super deep character.
Yeah, he's
arc.
He's the token dwarf.
He's the token dwarf, and so like the fact that his whole thing is like becoming buddies with Legolas is like the closest thing that we have to like any kind of real character depth. So like giving him something specific that audiences can glom onto and remember, I think is good. I do think they take it a little too far, like where that scene where he's like jumping off, like, come on, Gimli, and then he like falls down, and it's just like, come on, guys, slapstick this early.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like some of it where it's like even later on in like the battle where like Legolas and him are like counting and like
and that is from the book.
Yeah, which is really great. It's
like
very
it doesn't
cute.
feel like it, but it's definitely from the book.
Yeah, Tolkien could be a funny guy. He could have some humor. He was good.
I really love like the character touch point of, again, when they first meet Éomer, and the way that like Legolas immediately steps up to protect Gimli and be like, you would die before your stroke fell, and like again like this like upping of the camaraderie but between all of them.
The cut to Gimli being like,
look
escalated quickly.
Look at my man protecting me. I'm here for it. All right. Well, when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli arrive at the site of the battle between the Rohirrim and the Orc/Uruk-hai, they follow the Hobbit tracks into the forest. But before they can find Merry and Pippin, a new surprise awaits them. Gandalf the White is here. He reveals that Merry and Pippin were intercepted by Treebeard, one of the great ents. So, there's a really great moment where Aragorn, if you didn't know, breaks down at having like seen the
really
Hobbit.
Upset.
Yeah, he was very, very upset. It was a very.
I would have broken down too.
Sad.
It's very upsetting. It's very sad. It's very sad. Yeah,
he thinks they're dead. Yeah, because the movie does that fake out that's not there in the book. But I feel like it's an earned fake out. Like,
it's a very earned.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. I do love the way that they do this. Like the cut of like them investigating what happened, like the cliffhanger of what Merry and Pippin almost getting killed. I think it's the horse that almost lands on them, and then they sort of discover what happened afterwards. This kind of like crime scene investigation, Middle Earth, for like a hot second there, which I enjoy that as a bit.
Yeah, I like it too. It's just because it also speaks to his living with the elves and being trained by the elves for so many years. Because it's not really explicitly stated like what being a ranger is or what his backstory is. So it's a good instance of showing like what makes him so special.
Yes. Yeah, I like that a lot. Then there's also the meat's back on the menu that everyone's like, how do they know what a menu is? How do they know what a menu is?
Tolkien from the grave. They wouldn't have known how to read.
It's like, did they go to like I'm just imagining it like Mordor. There's like a little like restaurant that they all go to. It's like, I'll have the man flesh today.
They're out of man flesh again.
The seasonal man flesh.
Yeah. What's the vintage on the elf blood
table?
Oh, we have a good second age elf blood today. Anyways, yes, that's really fun. One thing I will note, I get why it's not this way in the movie. One always thing that I always loved about the books that I was always sad that wasn't here is how scary the reveal of Gandalf is. In the book, like the trio sort of get like this white wizard who's like visiting them at night, and you're like, is it Saruman? What's going on? And then it's kind of scary and horrific, and then it gets revealed.
It's funny how like the book absolutely does the fake out too. Like, he's like, they're gonna think it's Saruman.
Yeah, they really do. It's really fun. But yeah, they get revealed here, and I do like that they think it's Saruman with like they kind of like I think they play his voice for a second.
They overlay them both.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the features on the extended, they play the two, like the McKellen and the Christopher Lee, like right on top of each, like one right after the other, so you can hear who's who.
Yeah. Kim, anything you want to add to? I want to make sure you get it here.
I mean, do I have the honor of letting everyone know that when Aragorn kicked the helmet he broke his toe. Viggo Mortensen.
Oh shit!
Did you know?
No,
Did you know?
I had no idea
that Viggo Mortensen went to go kick that helmet in his grief over thinking Merry and Pippin were dead, and really broke his toe, and really let out a cry of anguish that made it into the final cut of the film.
Which I love. We all love. It is the perennial, like, did you know, like, Easter egg fact, which is always very fun.
I feel like that happened at some point over the last, like, 10 years of my life, though.
It is definitely recent. Like on the Lord of the Rings memes subreddit, like it is most of the memes are about the toe and like how people, or like it's on Instagram now. Like it's entered the mainstream where people will like be joking about how like you can't watch this movie with these fucking nerds without someone mentioning the toe.
You gotta do it. It's such a good scream.
So it's like the national anthem. Oh, toe. It all rise for a national tidbit of
yeah, I remember. So this is something that there's also in this sequence too that I also should mention. So I saw this movie in theaters, what was it, like 2 years ago for my birthday, and I got really high for it when I did that.
Fun.
And it was very fun.
This movie isn't long enough.
No, yeah, it was so great.
As it is.
But I forgot, like, there was a scene that kind of broke me when I was, because when I'm a weakling when I get high when I watch movies. And so I was watching it, and there's the scene when you meet Shadowfax. And I forgot how fucking earnest that sequence is like the shot of like this horse like coming up. It's like, oh, there's the king of the horses. Look how beautiful he is. And I'm like having a minor panic attack in the theater, being like, this is so earnest. I can't. I'm so used to cynicism in my movies nowadays. I can't. Like, this is too real.
I thought you were gonna say like you were crying.
Oh no, legitimately, it was like it was getting to me. Yeah,
the amount of like we're so accustomed to
like it'd be undercut,
cringe or calling out the like be undercut with like he's right behind me is like Shadowfax is right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah, I was like, oh, you love the horse so much, do you want to fuck like something like that?
Yeah, like we're so used to things being undercut that we can't sit with like anything actually meaning anything, except for like maybe at the end of the movie one time, and probably if someone is like dying or self-sacrifice or something.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, this is the scene that got me. I mean, the whole movie is that. Like, the whole movie is, for the most part, pretty earnest. There's a couple like the undercut things in here. But for the most part, so earnest. I'm like, oh man, I forgot when movies were like this. So that was just fascinating. All right. Well, Aragorn and crew head to Edoras, the capital of Rohan, to free King Theoden from the dark influences of Mordor and convince him to take up arms against the gathering evils. Not even Theoden's niece and nephew, Eowyn and Eomer, could convince the king to put up a strong fight against the Two Towers. Theoden wants to outrun the war and insists on bringing his people and soldiers to the fortress of Helm's Deep after Gandalf saves them. And we get the cool little de-aging effect in the movie as well. Anything on all of this?
Yeah, that was like, if you thought that previous scene was earnest, like this one goes all in, especially with the like, you know, the honorability of the king, and we support him because we know he was really just under a spell. And then when he gets the sword and like the music swells, and like I really do wonder if like on the day were they like thinking like, man, this is gonna be so silly. Is this going to ruin my life? Like
yeah. I think it works really well.
It in the end it worked. And a lot of this is credit to Howard Shore. It needs to be said, especially like in the Rohan sequences. I feel that if there's a weak link in the Rohan sequences, it is that it's the backstory is kind of confusing. We, as you know, Aragorn and co, are walking into their story when it's like already halfway done. Like, and so it's like, before you got here, this guy has been doing a spell, so the king is already under a spell, and so they show up and release it, so he's only under a spell for a few minutes. So it's like narratively a really difficult thing to juggle, you know, and it's not something that's very Hollywood, if that makes sense.
Yes. I always love it. I also love always the staff moment of like when Wormtongue's like, I told you to take his staff. So yeah, Such a really good
You
bit.
always take the staff.
Take the wizard's staff, goddammit. He has a whole arc in Rings of Power getting it. Don't you remember? It was very important.
I get to learn about this now.
Yeah, you get to learn about how Gandalf got his staff. That's a whole
Yes.
season storyline that we definitely need.
Yes.
Um,
I love the way that like Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli though are like running, defense behind him.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Fighting, yeah.
Whoopah, we'll take out the
Yeah, it's so good. Anything else to say within any of this?
So there's that other kind of slapsticky moment where they throw Wormtongue out and that gets a laugh.
Mhm.
And it's weird. Like that's not what kind of like pings in my memory. What I remember is, we have our moment of mercy,
Mhm.
and then it cuts to Brad Dourif going, "Get out of my way!" as he's running, running through the crowd. And I
Yeah.
remember that getting a huge laugh. And I don't think it was meant to. So like even in 2002, like that earnestness, like I think it's like it didn't need the line. It's just
No.
like I think it would have been perfectly fine without the line, or if maybe a different line, like "Get out of my way" is just a little too modern feeling.
Mhm.
Especially coming from Brad Dourif, who is like obviously like at a really heightened state, but he's also like he's Chucky. Like he's kind of inevitably kind of tied to modernity in his way.
Yeah.
Especially when you see him out of the. So it's just like it made him stop feeling like a fantasy character and more just like some guy who's in a hurry.
Yeah. I also do I do love how quick he gets to Saruman and is like just like telling him about Aragorn and being all sneaky. I do love his just his vibe. It's just a very fun like slithery vibe the whole time. Then what
Ran
does
all the way to Isengard.
Yeah.
Everyone was getting out of his way.
Yeah, everyone's getting out of his way so much so that apparently he misses the whole army. Because that was the thing that always got me as a
Got
kid.
out of his way.
where like he's talking to Saruman and he's like, well, you need like tens of thousands of men to take Helm's Deep, and Saruman's like, yes, and then they like walk out of like the balcony and there's all the men right in front of him that like Wormtongue is surprised by. It's like
he sheds a tear.
Yeah, he's like very like, oh wow, I'm moved by how many you have. You got so many orcs, my guy. And it's very like just like, how did you miss this, man? You had to walk through them.
See,
like,
and that was another one where I'm like, this should have gotten the sound mixing, because this was the scene. Well, actually, no, that scene comes later. We haven't gotten there yet. But like, this was the scene where they recorded the orcish lines at a like rugby World Cup in New Zealand.
Oh wow!
And like they, if you ever see the footage, it's actually really funny. So they put the lines phonetically on the screen, and like Peter Jackson's in the middle of the field, like, okay, everybody, 1, 2. Or go na shoot. But most of it, of course, was not usable because rugby fans be like
Weird.
that, and this was in the era before like AI. You could like edit those out pretty easily, so like they ended up not using very much of it, but like it is there. And so like that to me is like still kind of a triumph of both sound editing and sound mixing, because it does sound so good.
It does, really. I love it. It's a great little beat. Well, we will continue on to the Battle of Helm's Deep in the latter half of the film after a quick break from our sponsors. Alrighty, we are back. This is, of course, a Cast of Kings, a Decoding TV podcast. Please don't forget, if you want to support this show, consider becoming a paid subscriber at decodingtv.com, where you can get ad-free episodes of the show as well as bonus episodes. But before we jump back into our discussion, where can people find both of you, starting with Lindsay? Where can people find you on the interwebs? Or anything that you're working on? I know you have.
I just released a couple of videos on Nebula about the life and philanthropy of Dolly Parton, and also Dollywood. Like why does Dolly Parton have a theme park? But I'm also working on another video that Jessie will feature in very prominently
Yeah, I'm excited for that
about
one.
cruise lines.
Yes.
We went on a weekend cruise together.
Yeah, it was great.
aboard the Carnival Firenze.
I'm excited for people to see your hat. It's too funny.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
hat.
That hat is so it's a hat
Yeah.
that dances and it's hilarious. Do you still have it, Lindsay?
Oh, uno momento.
Yes, go get it.
Oh.
Yes. So listeners, if you are not watching the video version, go get it now. It's too funny.
Oh my god.
I love this hat so much. It dances. It's the little carnival funnel and it dances.
It's really hard to see. It flies right off your head.
It really does. I just
It's
want you to
blowing my mind that someone made this.
I just want you in the video to have you do take a PNG of you just flying away with the
That's how it ends.
Bye.
The video just a PNG of you just flying up.
Dude, what's wild is I was the only person on the boat that bought one of these.
Yes, but everyone loved it.
$35, and everyone was like, "Wow, what a cool hat!" And I was just like, "Why did no one else buy the hat? Why was it only I whomst bought the hat?"
I almost wanted to buy one for
myself.
I wanted to buy one almost for myself, but I didn't want to undercut you getting one. So it's fun.
Twinsies.
One hat to rule them all. That is
in the
hat.
darkest
One hat.
find them.
Yeah, it caused a little bit of drama when I got back because the toddlers wanted it. I was like, "You can have it, you can destroy it, but I need it right now. Mommy needs the hat." Until I need to, as soon as I'm done filming with the hat, you can have the hat.
You can destroy it as much as you want. Well, with that said, Kim, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Oh goodness, I'm still only really hanging around Instagram at the moment, but I don't know.
Go follow Kim on.
To be determined. At
Yeah.
Mick_Renfro.
And also buy your book, the
and I still have the unofficial guide to Game of Thrones available everywhere. You know, I found it in the downtown LA library the other day.
Nice.
Made my whole day.
Congrats.
Yay.
Thanks.
And you can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube. I have a video that will be out or will be coming out as of when this will be coming out as of the time this releases about House of the Dragon and my feelings and how they treated Rhaenyra's storyline in that show. So if you're curious about that, check that out over on my main channel. Well, let us get back into our recap here. Frodo, Sam, and Smeagol continue on the treacherous path to Mordor. They are intercepted by a group of soldiers from Gondor. Their captain, Faramir, is Boromir's little bro, an instant source of tension between him and the hobbits. Kim, what do you think of Faramir's introduction?
I love Faramir and Boromir as characters. I think to cast Sean Bean and then David Wenham, who plays Faramir, they look very
they
brotherly
look like brothers.
to me, and their affect. And I really love having these examples of these very fallible humans in the world and getting to see the juxtaposition between how Faramir decides to move forward and do what Boromir could not. But the build up to this is, I think, very well done, and you understand immediately why Faramir has all of his doubts and suspicions about this crew. The way that Faramir kind of bungles the relationship between Frodo and Smeagol, even Sam is also in the mix there too, of making it impossible for Smeagol to ever fully trust Frodo. What do you think about that?
I really I think one of my favorite things in the extended is the introduction of Faramir, and because it's only a 15-20 second speech where he, and this is directly from the book, sees the fallen Southron, the Haradrim dude who's dead and fell off of the elephant, and has a little speech about wondering if this guy was truly evil at heart, or if he was basically what lies brought him so far away from his home and die in this foreign place. And I feel that's a really necessary, because Faramir in the theatrical cut is not a great character. Like, he's better in the extended, but like you really need that, just to kind of get like it's a really great encapsulation of his character, where it's like he's a lover, not a fighter. Like, sure, he's competent, but he's not Boromir, and immediately, like, with that line, you see that, like, yeah, sure, he's the captain, everybody does what he says, but like he sees the futility of war above all else. And it also kind of provides this nice contextualizing moment for the guy who's dead, where it's because
Yes.
it's like obviously like one of the many well-trod criticisms of the Lord of the Rings in general is the way it portrays people of color. And it's just like, this doesn't necessarily like negate all those criticisms, but it does contextualize this as like they're not inherently evil. They are human, and they, were led to here through lies. And so like that's it's just like one of the best like speeches in the entire franchise, and it kind of sucks to me that it was only in the extended.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just like, ooh, scary foreigners coming to attack us with their olifants and such. Yeah. Yeah, and I also really love, we talked about the extended sequences. I really love, I mean, it's a bit on the nose, but it is really nice when we get that flashback sequence with Boromir and John Noble as Denethor. And just getting that little bit where like you could see how much Denethor sort of puts down Boromir. It's like, I don't give a shit about you. I don't love you. And how Boromir is given all of this like burden put upon him. Like, you're the best one. You should go get the ring, bring it back. And it like contextualizes a lot of his sort of downfall from the first movie and like living up to his father, and how Faramir is also trying to like show he's worth something that his father doesn't see. That contextualizes that like a chance for Faramir to show his quality line that gets recontextualized later on. I think it's really nice. It may be a bit on the nose, but it's a very I think really good sequence. And again, just shows me how much I love Boromir, because he just loves his little brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because another I think it's also a really good recontextualization of Boromir, because I feel like a lot of casual audiences, and even Tolkien to some extent, like Tolkien didn't really like Boromir as a character. Just like it's just like, here's a guy that's just like kind of ideologically not like me, and get rid of him. I don't really think too deeply about it. Where we leaving Fellowship with this feeling that the reason Boromir was tempted by the ring was because he was like a bad dude, that like, sure, he felt sorry, but like he's kind of a bad guy. And like this really contextualizes him as like not on the side of his father, and him and like Faramir really feeling that loss because Boromir was his protector, and now his protector is gone. And I'm getting a little choked up even talking about it. It's such a good scene.
It's really good. And we were talking about this last week when we were talking about the extended sequences for Boromir. Like the extended editions, both in this movie and in Fellowship, add a lot to Boromir too, because he has those like moments with Frodo in Fangorn where he's like, don't have the weight of like Gandalf's death on you, Frodo. Like, you carry a lot, don't carry that.
Lothlorien.
Lothlorien, excuse me. Getting my mystical forest mixed up.
Boromir didn't make it to Fangorn.
No. Yes. So like those like little beats with him, I think add a lot, that they it makes some level of sense to strip them out of the theatrical cut, but it adds a lot to him, I think, in a really fun way. And yeah. Well, moving on. Oh, actually, one other thing too, I do have to note, because they capture Smeagol at one point, and that's sort of like the big betrayal moment. I do love Smeagol's bah like moment to Faramir.
Fish is cool and nice and poor. I need to juicy sweet. But no, when he's like, when his back is turned, that's what you're, and like we hear him. Yes, we hear him talking to himself, and then he finally turns around. Bah! Like
that is definitely my top
Gollum moment.
Definitely my top one hated scenes in this extended edition. I feel like I might hate. There's one scene in Return of the King that I think I hate more, but God, I hate that. Like
I love
like
it. I love it.
where they're beating him up and
Oh, that part,
Faramir's
yes, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like turning away, like that absolves him. It's like it's so disgusting, honestly, like on so many levels. Where like Faramir's in charge. I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, where they're like
Mhm.
doing this like Abu Ghraib thing where they're torturing him for information. It's just not necessary, you know, because you don't need that. Like
No.
you do not need this big grand like act of violence in order to give Gollum a reason to like betray Frodo. He has his reason. Frodo lured him in there. He trusted Frodo, and Frodo screwed him over. And like you do not need like the beating and the violence. Like it's just it's bad. It's not Faramir. I don't like it. Boo.
Yeah. I don't disagree on that. I'm just saying I liked the bat.
I don't like the bat either. But I'm like by that point I'm like I don't even think about it. I'm just like I'm just in a bad mood because I hate that scene so much.
Fair, absolutely fair enough. Well, we have all of the Edorassians. Anyways, all of the people of that were in Edoras evacuate to Helm's Deep, but the large and vulnerable group is ambushed by Saruman's henchmen and the wargs. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas lead a successful counterattack, but Aragorn is believed killed in action. And we also get a lot of Arwen stuff in this, so like we can discuss. She's still in Rivendell, debating with her father about the fate of humans and her own hesitation to leave Middle-earth, and through her advocacy, a faction of elves is sent to aid Rohan. So, yeah, so I remember, this is something I remember learning about in one of your videos, Lindsay, where Arwen was originally supposed to be in Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
And actually she's actually in the cut in a few shots.
Yep, she's in there.
Which I didn't really remember.
Pre-digital repainting. She's in there. She's in quite a few actually. Like if you know what to look for, because she's dressed in this really bright maroon dress, as you and everybody else in the Helm's Deep scenes are kind of brownish, so she's really easy to pick out. But like, yeah, there was a lot that was changed. Because like Arwen, I believe, arrived when the rest of the elves do, which I guess we're not quite there yet. But like, she showed up with Anduril. That's when Aragorn gets Anduril, and Eowyn, I think, did a lot more action girl stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta cut out the girls doing action. Can't have that.
Yeah,
they gotta earn that.
It's not pure Tolkien.
No, they gotta earn that in the third movie.
Yeah, but I think from a narrative standpoint, it was a wise decision. But then they're left with this new problem of what do we do with Arwen? And I think the solution they came up with was pretty elegant. Where they incorporated stuff from the appendices of Arwen being still kind of ageless with her like dusty ass husband. This dinosaur finally croaks and she's alone and is going to so it was an elegant solution where they she showing what is at stake if she stays, where it's just like all of your people are going to be gone and he's gonna die and you are going to basically wander the earth until you become a shade, which is effectively what happens. And there's also like a clear resolution on what happens after they die, because in Middle Earth, no one knows what happens to men after they die. It's a big mystery, and it's like called the gift of man. It's it's gonna be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's gonna
but you don't know what it's gonna
be. It's a cake. You get a cake.
When you die, there's a big old cake. Like that's it. The elves get tied to the earth forever. I just get a cake.
Yeah, it's a
Where
good
am
cake.
I?
It's a good cake. It's an ice cream cake.
Dairy Queen.
Yeah. We went to Dairy Queen.
Oh God. Kim, what do you think of these sequences?
Yeah, so that's what happens to men after they die. They go to a Dairy Queen.
The cosmic Dairy Queen.
That's my religion.
And all your best friends are there.
Yeah, all your best friends. This sounds pretty sweet to me. The elves, no wonder the elves are jealous.
Yeah, exactly. I want cake.
No
Just
hell,
hang out
no
by these
heaven,
damn
just Dairy Queen.
trees.
Yeah,
Gonna hang
I
out by
used to-
these damn trees all forever.
Man, Dairy Queen used to be so good. I
Me
used to go
too.
to Dairy Queen every week for when I was in middle school. That was such good
Peanut
shit.
butter Oreo Blizzard was my
Yeah,
thing. I
and their
love that shit.
fries. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
just
they
liked
were
a
good.
dilly bar.
Oh yeah, Dilly Bar.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, Kim, what do you
You
think?
know what this movie's missing?
A Dairy Queen.
There's a blizzard in the
Right.
beginning of this movie, but it's not the right kind.
No, it's the wrong one.
That's the menu that the orcs were referring
Yes,
to. You
it's the
know?
Dairy
There's
Queen.
there's one Dairy Queen franchise open somewhere. Somewhere. Yeah. On the Arwen of it all.
On the Arwen of it all.
Speaking of queens, I don't know. That's my attempt at a transition. I liked, again, having like one more faction of this like familial conversation, in this case like father-daughter discussing what is at stake here and what is worth fighting for versus walking away from. And I really like that Arwen gets to be kind of like another one of those stalwart, like, no, you're wrong. Like, I have this feeling that what we're supposed to do is like come together in this moment and fight. And I think that maybe my feelings have changed on like the child being the thing that like
Oh, right.
makes her
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit
Spoilers.
like women be worrying about their kids.
You
sort of
didn't
like
tell me there was a child. Well, I figured you would have deduced that.
Yeah, you weren't gonna bone? Come on now. Look, it's
Were
a
you not
common
gonna
topic here,
try? I
Dad.
don't know, man. If it's like that's usually generally what happens after people get married.
Look, I had the birds and the bees conversation with you like a century ago. All right.
You already forgot.
But yes,
Maybe elves do it different.
yeah. It's like the Superman thing of like, wow, he's an alien. It's not.
It's like,
not
oh, you did it the old-fashioned way. Ugh, dirty.
Ew, gross. I will only add to this too is the warg sequence. I remember as a kid, I loved the look of the wargs. I love my weird little like monster freak guys. I'm like, oh look, they're so cute. Was again when I was a kid. But this was also one of the first times I remember as a kid being like, why are we doing this? Like,
Right,
to
yeah.
have that like
So
realization, your kid of
unnecessary.
like, oh, plots have structure, and this is a bad one. Of like, why are we having Aragorn just like get shoved off to the side for a while, and then he come back later on? Is like, yeah, he's fine, don't worry about it. That was a whole thing.
He didn't learn anything. He didn't gain anything. I guess like you could argue that like he saw the orcs, but we knew they were coming. You know, like it's just like he got confirmation on a thing we already knew.
Yeah.
It's I know they felt like they needed an action scene,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so completely unnecessary. And Helm's Deep is so long as it is, and it honestly feels like I feel like Helm's Deep does get pretty tedious and exhausting. And I don't think it like if the warg sequence had not been there, it wouldn't feel as tedious, you know, because like we wouldn't already be kind of like wound up. Because like, you know, Helm's Deep is good and fun at all, but it is really long. It is almost an hour long.
Yeah. So
It's funny. I never took much umbrage with the inclusion of this scene. I guess for me, the driving force behind it does, which definitely is not as strong for me, but like the driving force seems to be we're supposed to care about this like Éowyn, Arwen, Aragorn connection a little bit, and that like again like Éowyn's reaction to thinking that Aragorn is dead and then her relief upon his return, like that feels like what the payoff is there for. But yes, in general, like I could probably do without any of the Éowyn Aragorn stuff and the story would work just as well, right?
Yeah. And we know she likes him. Like we get it. Like, message
soup
received.
The soup
Yeah.
extended scene with her giving him
Poor
soup.
Poor Éowyn. She can't catch a break.
It is interesting that actually that scene that makes me think about that scene in the extended edition where it's like she has the soup and it's bad because it does give the vibe of like she's just not like other girls. Like she's not good at like making soup and she's got other things going on, which is an interest. I mean, I have interesting feelings on that, but I don't know. It's kind of
Well, what's funny is that she seems to genuinely want to be good at the soup.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
she and there doesn't seem to be any reason why she should be bad at the soup because
yeah,
like okay, sure she knows how to fight, but that's not like her one thing. You
yeah.
know,
Right.
she's not like a soldier. It's kind of her side hustle at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And even then,
it's
she
like
doesn't get to deploy anything until the next movie.
it seems like one of those weird things where it's like, okay, if she's gonna have this masculine thing, which is like she fights, she has to like lose a feminine thing. It's like the trade-off, I guess, is like the
It's like-
scales must be balanced between
Yeah.
gender dynamics. Is kind of like what the movie kind of weirdly implies. It's like on its own, it's a funny beat, and also this is the one scene where we like learn that Aragorn is really really old,
Right.
actually too, which is cut out of everything else.
Mhm.
Anyways. Once the people of Rohan arrive to Helm's Deep, battle preparations begin. Aragorn is miraculously, elvishly revived and arrives to the fortress just in time to bring news that a massive army approaches. He galvanizes the men and boys assembled, and everyone is surprised by the appearance of the elves. And then the battle begins, and we get the whole battle sequence.
Hey guys, did you know that the thing we're hiding from is coming?
Yeah, so I gotta let you know, it's really
Did you
here.
know that like the reason why we fled, it's real.
It's here. They're
we
coming.
didn't
There's
do it for
people.
no good reason, guys.
I will say, and some people maybe in the comments or listening to the podcast will be with me on this journey, but I have such trauma from Helm's Deep as a player of the video game. There is a particular level in the video game version that I hated, where you have to protect, you're in the courtyard area and you have to protect like the door from getting like knocked down where all the women and children are. And it is so fucking hard because you just have to stop waves after waves after waves of orcs, and they keep getting to the fucking door and knocking it down. That door has like no health bar. It's a traumatizing sequence in the game that I remember very vividly. So I have to share that. I don't know if you two played the games or not, but like it's a vivid memory for me, and I know a lot of people. So
Don't remember that one.
yeah. That one's in the Two Towers game. The Return of the King is the more beloved one, which also I agree with, but that's the better game. So maybe you don't remember the Two Towers one, but that level sticks in my brain. Anyways, yes, during this whole sequence, any thoughts on this, Lindsay? What do you think on Helm's Deep?
How far did we get up to in the synopsis?
This is the whole Helm's Deep.
Oh, the whole Helm's Deep.
Yeah, just all the battle.
Well, I feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm going to sound like a nitpicker. I'm sorry, but like my first thought is I think
Never.
I know, right? It's so unlike me. It spends a really long time on the build up. And even I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, we know, like, oh, there's old men and little boys. Oh, there's another little boy. I don't like that, like, Hama is in the theatrical cut. So we could have had literally, and, you know, we could put Faramir's line in there. We don't need Hama. We know, you know, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, we get it. And then the elves show up, and I really don't love that. And and we know the reason for that, you know, and it's an unfortunate byproduct of having Arwen in there. It would have helped, honestly, raise the tension if they weren't there, right? Like if it would feel a lot more hopeless if the elves had not showed up. But we already shot this. We cannot cut them out, so we have to have a reason for them to be here. And so they're just like,
Hey,
we're here for moral support, you guys.
we did it.
And so, yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, knowing this, it's like, oh, that is unfortunate that they changed it. And I think it was a wise change. I think it was the right call. But then they're left with this extremely obtrusive relic of these characters that do not belong there because this is not their fight.
Mhm.
You know, especially because like they're all dead at the end, right? And it's like sad, and it's just like not even mentioned, and they're not there whenever we like run out at the end or big like heroic like and yeah, but like on the whole, it's still like one of these, you know, set pieces that is, you know, like historic, right? Like
Yes.
it's still like one of the great battle sequences of all time. So it's like once we finally get going, then it almost feels like it's going too fast because it's like we spent so much time with the wind up.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the whole, it's like it's also very strange because Helm's Deep is so like such a huge focus, we lose track of Sam and Frodo for like, again, about an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like Helm's Deep will go back and forth between Merry and Pippin and Helm's Deep, but it doesn't really touch on Sam and Frodo. And we also need to talk about Treebeard at some point.
Yes. I was
But
gonna mention
but yeah, it's such an interesting juggle of logistics to keep the flow of the movie going, especially knowing that like they changed a lot over the course of the edit.
Yeah. Kim, what do you think of Helm's Deep?
I love the long buildup of dread, kind of like approaching, complete with rain finally falling right before the battle starts.
Rain. Yeah.
That like the conversation that Legolas and Aragorn have in Elvish in front of everyone, where like people quickly pick up.
Then
on
I
the
will
body.
die as one of them.
And everyone's like, "What were
they saying?" Yeah.
And
Aragorn,
again,
I was speaking in Elvish for a reason.
honestly,
Not chill, dude. Not chill.
way to lose your cool.
But then I like that they make up before the battle starts.
Yeah.
It's just like they have their little spat, but he's like, hey man, we all have our moments. Don't worry about it. Let's get out there.
I think like the fact that the bond of the fellowship always supersedes everything. And I like so much of this plot to me is like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas and Gandalf the White now, like trying to bring Theoden in to the circle of like, please get on board with this. We're all trying to just love each other and fight this war. And Theoden is like, still lands like this with me of like, it's like an irritant to me that he's so resistant to the hope that is being offered to him, but that makes it all the more gratifying.
And that's also a movie edition, but I think it's kind of necessary because in the book they're all on the same page, which is fine, but like for again like this Hollywood, like we need to make it feel like higher stakes, and he needs an arc, right?
Yeah.
And so the way they give Theoden an arc is, I think like to your point, I think it's really clever that like the way they do it is just like, well, he resists hope, but he finally like, and I mean, when you say accepts it, but just like we're going to ride out into glory, it's not an act of hope, but it is an act of like a triumph in a way, and in doing so, they win the day.
Yeah.
It's like the act of integrity after him being shown to, between Grima obviously forcing him to have no integrity. But then it's like he's struggling to come back into that aspect of his own leadership.
Yeah.
Right. It's like about going out and meeting your destiny, and like that being like a much more powerful thing than just like retreating until they eventually, smoke you out.
And they also added in this stuff about him not trusting aid from anybody too, of like not like where was Gondor where Rohan called for aid and that sort of thing, which then gets kind of a nice arc payoff in Return of the King when he chooses to go, which is a nice like sort of complete like continually
where he feels abandoned. Therefore there's that tension early in Return of the King where maybe I won't send aid because I felt abandoned in the last movie, because I'm like, again, it's like it's not necessary, but it does add like that sort of lingering kind of doubt, which makes it feel a lot more satisfying when he goes in, Rohan will answer, and then the audience like stands and cheers.
I love it. I'm trying to think. Oh, the other thing too is I do love one of the ways that this movie sets up like the different layers of the battle, because they also have like Grima Wormtongue sort of being like there is a like a way, like a weakness in Helm's Deep of like blowing up the side of the wall into the courtyard area, which also like plays into like the themes, and this I'll tie this into the ents to get into that stuff of like industry. Of like Saruman has like industry and has bombs, like Wormtongue is like what type of device could do this, and it's sort of implied about like having the bomb the
holds a fire really close to it.
Yeah, let me just get right next to it and blow us all up. Have like a Breaking Bad moment going on there. But we got ahead of ourselves. We must, of course, discuss how Merry and Pippin help rally the Ents, who set upon a last march to fight for Middle-earth and all the beings who live upon it. A gratifying comeuppance for Saruman's choice to burn the Fangorn forest. So yes, we have our Entmoot and all of the fun Treebeard stuff. So Lindsay, I will toss to you. What are your thoughts on the Ents?
Okay, so I feel like I'm a little alone in this, but yeah, love the Ents. I think Treebeard is probably my favorite character after Gollum. I like the weird looking little guys. Because I it's just like of all the deep Ent thoughts I've had, I feel like the Ents are kind of like this weirdly under discussed element, maybe because it's just like they're not in it very much. But I feel like Treebeard is sort of like this living embodiment of not just power, but a being that understands his own power and therefore understands how not to abuse it. Like one of my favorite lines in the book is when he picks up Merry and Pippin and he's like, just kind of, and it's much like less Peter Jackson-y than it is in the movie, where we get, there's an orc and he steps on him and he's like, I don't know what to do with you, and he dumps him in front of Gandalf. In the book, there's this line where Pippin goes, what are you going to do with us? And Treebeard responds, do with you. I'm not going to do anything with you. We might do some things together if our paths align that way. And I think that's like one of my favorite lines in books, just because I love this idea that, like, Pippin expects that because this guy is much more larger and more powerful, that like he's going to abuse that power or at the very least dictate what he's going to do. And meanwhile, Treebeard's like, no, if you want to do some stuff, that's fine by me. I'm not going to dictate whatever you do. And so in that way, I feel like the Ents are this living embodiment of nature as this sort of like just force, and in that sort of way that like nature always wins, and it's like possibly extremely violent and dangerous, but ultimately like a force of justice in a way that like the men and even elves to some extent are not. That said, like Merry and Pippin are coming out of Fellowship, a lot of the criticism of them was that they're kind of useless and stupid, and I don't like them. Which I was obviously not team that. Like I loved Pippin. I was like Pip, like if Pippin has a million fans, I'm among them. If he has one fan, I am that. And if he has no fans, I am dead. I love Pippin. But there was a lot of backlash to Merry and Pippin. And so I feel like they kind of overcompensated with the reshoots, where we have to make them really active. Not just active, but like outsmart Treebeard, which is very strange. Like I understand it. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. But in the sort of the cost of that is Treebeard kind of being transitioned from this wise old sage that like takes a minute to like come to decisions, but ultimately knows what he's about, as opposed to just like this sort of like, I don't know, embodiment of like a boomer who thinks he can just like sit the war out. Woof.
Yeah.
No.
I'm on nobody's side because nobody is on my side.
On my side.
Like that's a movie invented dialogue, I would guess. And that is a completely
it's very
different,
nihilistic. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for Gandalf. I'm gonna go get Gandalf's advice. But other than him, no one else is on my side.
And he doesn't have a side. He didn't pick a side at all.
Yeah, he doesn't have a side either.
No.
The side he has.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also portrays like the trees as very like overtly vindictive, because even at like Gimli being like, oh, this very like nice forest sort of thing, which is kind of interesting. But like I agree with you. So the reason I do like the Ents in the movie is I just like the weird little freak Ents that we get. Just the designs I think are fun. I also
I like the designs a lot. Like Quick Beam is another character that with like 2.5 lines in the book that I love, because he's the hasty Ent. Like one time he interrupted an Ent before he finished his sentence, and then they
branded him for life. Yeah,
and so he's Quick Beam, and that's kind of a
yeah, I love that.
Because I guess subconsciously and consciously I feel very influenced by the Ents as like a culture, like I like in my books, like the alien language or the amygdalan language, Pequod phonemic, I based off of the way
Oh, I didn't know
Tolkien
that.
describes Entish
Ah.
as like almost so sort of like these blocks of language, or these blocks of units of meanings that you tie together.
Mhm.
And like this idea that a name grows as you grow, and it kind of changes all the time because you're changing all the time.
I like that,
It's like
yeah.
a weirdly dense chapter. There's like the ents are very well thought out as a culture, and it's funny to think that like it's only one chapter in the
Yeah.
entire book. It's a long chapter, but it's only one chapter.
But it is. But I do think
yeah.
I agree with you. The point that I wanted to get at. Sorry, one aside, just on the design thing too, is I like the one little ent who like dunks himself in the water during the
that's my favorite.
That's
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's Quickbeam.
I think so
That's
too.
Quickbeam, whose head's on
yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's very
I'm
hasty.
so happy to know that.
Yeah, that's
now.
what,
I've always just been like that guy.
He's a Rowan. Like, so like that would have been because like he and also he's running, so that's how you know he's quick.
But I also like
against the water.
But I also really do think like this whole sequence with the ents, I agree with you in that it does seem to encapsulate a lot of very like personal stuff to Tolkien, like the messages he's trying to get across of like respect, not only for like power and understanding power, but also nature versus like this sort of crass industrialization that like the movie kind of very hits on the head of like as Saruman says like, oh, the fires of industry will go forward and like burn down Fangorn Forest. Like that's in the book as well, but less beat you on the head nail with it. But it is, I think, a very important thing that gets into like what a lot of Tolkien's thoughts and beliefs were about like nature and caring for nature and finding a way to balance that and like tying that into respect for like the natural. I don't know. It's an interesting thing that like they cut from the not only like the movies themselves, but even just the theatrical cut, because there's a sequence in the movie where they have like these long shots of the trees and like just nature shots. Which at least gets a little bit into that like sense of like here's some like moment to breathe and get a respect for nature, and Treebird reads a poem, but they cut that out of the theatrical cut, and I get it for brevity, but it is something.
I don't mind that was cut, but I think like Treebeard's characterization is more in service of like
comedy
tone. Like either he's scary when he needs to be, or he's a comic relief character. But like it's not super logical, and again, like we talked about earlier, it is kind of wild that like the Isengard sequence was like an 11th hour edition, when it's just like when you watch it, it feels so like obvious and needed for that entire, especially since they like changed it so much, where it's just like, well, the ents aren't gonna it's just like so we have this Isengard sequence, which I guess in fairness is excellent payoff, which is why I'm like I don't hate it, but like the execution of Treebeard is probably my least favorite like of all of the characters in any of the movie. I really don't like that they cast John Rhys Davies, and that was also a very late, like I think it was like June or July before the movie came out that they announced that John Rhys Davies, and I was like, come on, really? Come on, like you couldn't
find another guy.
Was James Earl Jones not available? Like anybody, like it take like 2 minutes, like just anybody, because like John Rhys Davies sounds like John Rhys Davies. He's not a guy who has a whole lot of voices, so he sounds like Gimli, and I always found that so distracting. I still do. It really bugs me.
Yeah, because I do remember watching it this time and being like, yeah, that is Gimli. That's definitely Gimli there.
It's just Gimli. With a little bit of a filter.
Shout out to Howard Shore again, because I think that the piece of score that plays over Treebeard's proclamation that there will be this last March of the Ents, like truly brings me to tears, I think, every time I watch that payoff. And I think that certainly watching this series of films as an adolescent, paired with all of the Pocahontas, and I really did like as a kid, develop this strong sense.
We have to protect the earth. This is our inheritance.
Yes, and like
our children and our children's children.
And that it's like unforgivable violation to
Mhm.
like mine the earth the
Yeah,
way
I
our law
remember
does.
opening night, like, when it shows all the trees get cut down and, like, you see Treebeard's reaction, like, I remember and this is in Johnson City, Tennessee, people don't react to things, and, like, I remember the theater being like, "Oh," like, there was an audible, like,
Yeah, it's
pain in the theater when you
Yeah.
see the forest has been cut down, and he goes, "Many of these trees are my
My
friends."
friends.
Yeah.
My
So like
friends.
there's that's stuff that I really liked, especially I remember as like a Boy Scout, I taught a lot of like the nature stuff to kids of like respect for nature. And I remember pulling from a lot of this when I was I actually think I stole some Treebeard quotes for something when I was making something. So it was fun. Well, back towards Helm Deep, when all seems lost, Gandalf's promise comes shining through. He arrives with the Rohirrim, charging Saruman's army, from behind, while Aragorn leads a push from the front. The enemy is vanquished, and since we're including extended editions here, we know they are chased right to their death in the awaiting trees sent by Treebeard, Merry and Pippin. So we get that as well. So yeah, anything on this sequence at the end of Helm's Deep?
Yeah, it's like kind of one of the great movie history moments,
Mhm.
where like I like the run out I find a little distracting because it's so obvious that the orcs are CGI and that the real
Mhm.
horses are not meeting any resistance.
Yeah, it's just like,
But
whoop.
then, like when you see Gandalf on the hill, and he run down the hill, and the music cue whenever the sun breaks
Mhm.
over the hill,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I just get chills thinking about it. It's just
Yep.
like such a perfect moment.
Yeah.
And even within that, this buildup of tension of like, okay, yes, this is triumphant. They're running down the hill, but they're about to run straight into those spears, and like the timing of the sun blinding the
Mhm.
orcs. So then like the defense isn't really as potent as it once might have been. Like, yes, just a beautiful, beautiful movie moment. And also, like, I always watch it and being like, how are those horses not just like falling over each other down this like seemingly
Yeah.
70-degree incline? But again, it's like the movie magic of this world. I believe it while I'm
Yeah, you're
watching
like,
it.
sure. Those I mean, those are not that's Shadow Facts, right?
Yes.
That's the Lord of all horses. And since
It's
he's
this
leading the
very
charge,
important horse.
yeah, those horses are like, we got this. We
Yeah.
got this 70-degree incline.
We got it. We're good. All right. Well, after bringing them to the front lines of the war in Osgiliath, Faramir does what his brother could not and lets Frodo leave with the ring. The men of Gondor and Rohan will now fight together for humanity. So we have all of that stuff at the end here. And this is also where we get the famous Sam monologue of, there are things worth fighting for, Frodo.
Another 11th hour edition.
Which is, I think, great.
Yeah,
really-
it's very strange that they were like, you know what? We need a little bit of an emotional resolution here. Why don't we
Yes.
have him have him give a little speechy speech?
Yes, which
Little
is why,
speechy poo.
reshoots always get this bad rap.
Yeah. Let me make it clear. I'm not anti-reshoot.
Mhm.
I feel like some of them are a little clumsy, but most of them I think were well executed and very intelligently applied. Some of them created new problems. For instance, the elves at Helm's Deep. But on the whole, I think that reshoots are kind of an inevitable product of when you get to the edit. It's just, and then you realize like, oh no,
What's missing?
now that we see it as a whole, we can see, oh no, something's missing.
Yeah, no, I think reshoots are a very, like, you can over rely on them like Marvel movies, which is like, oh shit, we'll figure it out when we get there, because you don't have an intent to begin with. But when you do have an intent and you see what's missing, and you can kind of go back and be like, all right, how can beef stuff up? What's missing? What's resolution missing? I think it works really well. And I think this is like one of my favorite moments in the whole trilogy is Sam giving this speech and this sort of like pull against nihilism of like, there's, it's not just, oh God, we have nothing to go for. It's all meaningless and, we're all doomed. And it reminds me, because we get a visual of it in, I'm not sure if it's the exact wording. You'll have to remind me, Lindsay, but it's one of my favorite moments from the Return of the King book. And we get a visual of it in Return of the King with the star overhead, but not the like poetry behind it of like Sam seeing the star and realizing that there's something beyond even what evil on this earth Middle Earth cannot touch. And this feels like Sam getting that moment verbally that he gets visually kind of in Return of the King, but not explicitly stated. So I really like that as a beat of like, oh yeah, there's things worth fighting for. There's things to keep going for, even, beyond evil that exists in this world. So I really love it.
To me, this sequence feels very and I don't mean this as a dig. It feels very utilitarian. It's necessary. As an emotional beat, it just doesn't really do anything for me because I just kind of only see the utility of it. And also, like, just by that point, Sam in the movies, I'm kind of like tapped out because, like, again, it's a good thing we're not doing Return of the King because I'm just like kind of a Sam hater by that point. Just again, movie Sam. I don't like what they did with him in Return of the King.
Here, like I said, oh sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like it's good. It's fine. I don't quite understand the logic of the Nazgul, where the Nazgul fully sees the ring. Like, he just sees him, and it's just like this doesn't make any sense because at this point they are supposed to believe that Pippin has the ring,
right?
And so about that, are we just gonna?
Shh. No, don't worry about it, Lindsay. Shh.
When he flies away,
it's a pretty shot.
Yeah, it is. Kim, anything you want to add?
I am a sucker, I think that the utility of the scene absolutely works on me because I think I got very attached to like Sean Astin's Sam. And as much as like it is very hard to watch him devolve the way that he does throughout like Two Towers and into Return of the King. So I totally get that. And I think like I need the earnestness of this moment a little bit. And I think that the build, like having Frodo come so close to giving it away and yes, like fully succumbing to being like, I cannot do this anymore. And I believe like at this point in the story that yes, like Frodo does feel that pull to nihilism. Like the ring is exacting its force upon him. And for the conversation, for that, again, like the set piece of Osgiliath, we just had the Battle of Helm's Deep. For everything to come down to just the two of them effectively like talking to one another, I thought is a beautiful emotional climactic moment for the movie. And I also really like that then we play on you like see Gollum's reaction to the speech and then like the indication that like Faramir also overheard at least part of that and is like, I think I finally understand what's going on here. I'm often not the person who defends new editions for adaptations of things, but I do find that this is one of my favorite ways that they were able to kind of like tie this movie and this, again, like this theme of hope and resilience and what it is that all of these different factions are fighting for.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. The only thing I would just add about this sequence too, and I kind of touched upon it earlier, just to play a little bit of Sam defense, at least at this point in the movie, is I do like the last bit with him and Gollum, where he sort of like does the thing of like, oh, everything's good, right? Like no hard feelings, but again, not taking the time to have empathy for Gollum. And I, again, agreed on Return of the King stuff. We'll talk about that next week. But for me, in this movie, I like it as a flaw of Sam that he just does not have that level of empathy for this creature. And he just sort of is like, oh yeah, everything's cool, right? And not taking that moment. And in a way that like Frodo is on an arc beginning from Fellowship with Gollum of like, yeah, Bilbo should have just killed him, and then gets much more of a arc over the course of the this movie towards like respecting him. But again, I think that like that goes too far in Return of the King. But again, we'll talk about that next week.
I like leaving on like the little cliffhanger of like Smeagol / Gollum is up to no good.
What's her? Who's she?
Could do it.
Yeah. Damn spider lady. I do have a thing about that in our memory section, so I will save that for there.
There's one scene in the book that I guess probably maybe they couldn't find a way to cram it in either Two Towers or Return of the King, but it's kind of a shame because it's like my favorite Gollum scene, where it's like Frodo and Sam are asleep. It's one of the many one of the mini scenes where we had reinforced that Sam is a brown-skinned hobbit. He is not a ruddy little white boy, but that's, I guess it's its own thing. So it's like I keep seeing like skin color discourse. No, no, he's not tan. He's brown. But yeah, that's it. That's its own thing. So Sam and Frodo are asleep, and they're right about to enter Shelob's lair, and Gollum comes on them, and he's kind of touched by this like kind of moment of tenderness between them, and like is kind of almost at this like, or he looks at them and he looks back at Shelob and kind of shakes his head, and kind of like there's this implication that like he's like, I'm not gonna go through with it, man. I just can't do it. And then he like reaches out to touch Frodo's hand, and Sam wakes up and is like, what are you doing? And the way Tolkien describes it is just like that light in Gollum's eyes disappeared forever. And so like that's the moment where he decides to sacrifice them to Shelob. And like, it's really late in the game too, where it's like right before they enter Shelob's lair, and it is categorically Sam's fault. So it's like, all of that stuff is very true to like the characters. I just think it's kind of a shame they couldn't find a way to put that in there. Like even in Return of the King, because I feel like in Return of the King they went too far, both with Gollum and with Sam. Like with Gollum just being like a pure villain, never any moments of doubt.
Just turn pure heel.
And that's just kind of disappointing to me, because I think they did such a good job with Gollum in the Two Towers. It's just like, well, why not allow him to continue to have that sort of like depth and nuance that he had in the Two Towers? But nope.
No, we gotta have our little villain freak guy, which is why I was telling Kim this last week, you need to play Lord of the Rings Gollum, the video game.
I hear such good things.
It's great. I told her last week it's a terrible game, but I did play it because there's part of me that just loves playing as this little freak man in a game.
Is it tied in with the movie? I forget.
No, it's its own canon thing. And it's a prequel to everything. It's like him escaping Mordor and all of that jazz. So basically what the Andy Serkis movie is going to be.
Oh, good.
But one thing I told Kim this last week, my favorite thing about the movie is the pause screen is like his little sack of spoons. Just little, you like hit pause and you just open his little sack of spoons and there's a little menu. It's really cute. I don't know. I adored that as a thing. It's not a good game, but I had thoughts on that. Anyways, just to wrap us out, just a couple of miscellaneous things we may have missed. We forgot to reference the bog horror and like the lingering pain of war, but also I love the weird little like Peter Jackson horrorism with that visual. We missed some like little mini stories with like the young children fleeing into Rohan to warn them. That was like the mother dying.
No, I think the mother survives.
Yes.
Oh, does she? I forgot.
They reunited in the extended version.
Oh, that's right.
Like, or maybe even in the theatrical. Yeah, because like the kids go to Helm's Deep and then mom reunites with them. She's fine.
It's such an important little piece of optimism, but also just like the kid.
Exactly.
He must not ride Gareth. He's too big for him.
He's too big for us. And the little cockney row here.
Beautiful. So we get that, and then in the extended editions you get Merry and Pippin finding the
end draft.
Yeah, and just having that little comedic beat to end out on there. Also their whole little comedic beat too of like getting taller from drinking the water and all of that jazz.
Right,
well.
yeah. Which because like it is known that Merry and Pippin end up being the tallest hobbits that ever lived, topping out like around 3'8" or something.
Yeah. Wow, they're so tall.
Yeah. Tall. Look at those studs.
Yeah.
They could almost be mistaken for like tweens. they because they eventually because I also really love that like the appendices tells like how everybody lived happily ever after, and it ends with Merry and Pippin eventually going down to Gondor and living out their days amongst the men because they're fine with that because they're basically like the size of small humans after the end draft.
We're so tall now, everybody. So like we'll just show it that we're like men now, really.
Pushing 4 feet, strutting down the street like getting
all the Hobbit ladies. Well, we will talk about our final thoughts on the movie as well as our last segments on this after this brief break from our sponsors. All right, we have reached the end of the movie. Kim, Lindsay, do either of you have any final overall thoughts that you want to touch upon that we did not get to?
I will conclude by agreeing with what Lindsay said at the start of the pod, that like Fellowship remains the 10 out of 10 for me in the trilogy. And it's very impressive to me how much I start like splitting hairs when I'm trying to really compare all of these movies. And the thing that sticks in my craw sometimes about not giving Two Towers that 10 out of 10 is these high highs that the movie has. Like truly some of the best we've discussed, like battle sequences ever put to film. The fact, since this is a cast of kings, it's worth saying like the fact that the final season of Game of Thrones was like the directors and showrunners were like outright saying like we are attempting to best Helm's Deep as like the longest and most epic sequence ever put to film, and that was a very ambitious drive. Yes.
Aim high.
It was a swing.
It was a swing.
If you shoot for the stars, you'll still land.
It was a swing.
I'm still waiting for someone to beat out, I think, Helm's Deep in terms of like how it's structurally sits in a trilogy.
The Battle of the Pelennor like hits me a little harder, and I think part of that is because it's like each segment doesn't it looks different, right? Like because there's the ones that take place during the day and then at night, and then when the Rohirrim because like they all look visually very different. It's I think like to me the peak like triumph moment in the entire trilogy is when the Rohirrim show up in Return of the King. And you know there's death and everyone is like because I mean like I think as much as I love Gandalf's charge, I think that moment is like one of the hardest hitting moments in all of movies of all time. So like that gets the slight edge. I think the thing about the Two Towers, and it's like like still like the trilogy as a whole is like one of my defining personality traits. One of my favorite movies of all time. But it is also like Two Towers is I think the weakest, both as a individual entry and as an adaptation, especially as an adaptation, because like I remember hearing them talking about when they were like reshooting and rewriting things, most of what they were doing was bringing it back to the books, was making it closer to the original source material. And it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, man, why didn't they realize that sooner? Like, because there were some things that they could not change. And in the end, like, because I think really the clunkiest thing in all three of these movies is the elves at Helm's Deep that are a relic from a previous version that they couldn't really change. But that said, it's like, the movie gave us Gollum and very nearly our first, I guess, would still be only Academy Award for a voice acting role. Oh man, they tried so hard to put. It's like, oh no, see, he was on set. He's rolling around in the dirt. Look at him go. Because even though Andy Serkis sometimes could be a little bit of a frustrating guy, like he's still an excellent actor and generational as far as like mocap actors go, and Gollum is all time GOAT, voice acting / conceiving this character. And again, we flew real close to the Jar Jar son. It could have been bad.
Well, you don't remember Benedict Cumberbatch jumping around like Smaug?
How could I forget? We're just like, Circus did it. We gotta
redo it. We can match that.
Come on, Cumberbatch. Are you not gonna? You're not gonna roll around on the ground being a dragon that is not interacting with any? Why?
Sorry, shouldn't have brought up The Hobbit. I didn't mean to bring back that trauma. I'll just reiterate with both of you. I agree. I think what I'll add with this one is, again, I think Fellowship is still my 10 out of 10. And rewatching this one, especially as I get older and having gone to film school and rewatching it, there are many more flaws in this movie. But I will also say, like, I recognized a lot of the flaws as a kid too. Like, again, the warg sequence, I feel like I felt as a kid, like, why is this here? But I also, there's a part of me that appreciates that as a kid, because it's one of those things where like, oh, this is the first time where I get to see sort of structure and adaptation and movie things. So like, it doesn't make it a good sequence, but I hold a particular part of my heart to it, because it's one of those things like, oh yeah, it's where I recognize like, oh, these are just people trying to make a thing and putting structure and thought and like trying to like build a piece of art. And I think that that's something that was very meaningful to me growing up.
Yeah, God, I drove those extended like extra DVDs into the ground. You know, I watched the shit out of them. Like every commentary track, every extra, like every like Foley FYI. Here's how we made the Balrog. Here's how we made the fell beast. Yeah, no, I remember like the sound, because I know the Balrog was they took a cinder block and dragged it across concrete. So that's how they got the Balrog sound. But like I forget what the fell beast is. That was some kind of critter. It's like some kind of bird or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, with all of that said, we have a quick little listener mail segment with emails from our listeners who wrote in, just like you can, by writing to us at acastofkings@gmail.com. This week, we got a lovely letter from Maki from the Netherlands. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If not, I do apologize. Who had wonderful words about our coverage of House of the Dragon, but also wrote about Lord of the Rings, saying, I love that you'll be covering Rings of Power and the whole Lord of the Rings series. These movies changed my life. When the first movie came out, I was 14 years old, and I spent all of my money on movie tickets. I went to the first movie 11 times.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I did too. I think I like, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to see if I can find my journal from back then. Hold on.
Yes. I love that. That sounds wonderful.
I should look. I collected all of my movie stubs, and I still have a lot of them, which is fun because I also would take my dad's tickets, even though I didn't see that movie. But he used to take me and my sisters to the movie theater, and then he would go see whatever grown-up movie was playing and let us go see whatever we wanted to see. But then I would take both the tickets home. So I have a bunch of these like same day different movie pairings, which is really funny. I think
now it's a matter of principle.
Now you gotta find it. Oh God, don't let me capture you like falling and dying on. Oh no.
Well, that went well.
Oh no.
Don't mind me.
I'm gonna ask if I can keep this.
That's good. That's gonna be good viewing for the people on YouTube.
I was just gonna ask, can I keep that in because it's too fucking funny?
Important. Yeah.
I will keep that in as long as you're chill with it.
Yeah,
I can kind of do it.
Okay, here we go. I know I did it more than so. Here are all my movie tickets.
Oh my God, that's so adorable.
From round
I
one.
love you've really protected them too.
Oh.
It's back when I cared about that sort of thing.
Does it say the price on there? I'm curious.
You're right. $4.50.
Oh my God.
So here's two towers.
Oh my God.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's another 8. Because I know I saw Fellowship 9 times, because of course I did, but apparently I lost one of those tickets.
You must.
So yeah, so here's two towers.
I love this. What are these
amazing.
are these like magazine cutouts?
Yeah, these are from the toys. These are from the action figures.
Oh yeah.
And then I got some Valentine's the following day, or the following Valentine's Day. Oh wait,
God.
I was in the newspaper. oh, I forgot about this. So my Nella, so she's a good friend, and also she's like the baby's godmother. So when he was at a convention, and so they got me his autograph.
Billy Boyd, right?
Yeah, Billy Boyd. I think this is before we even met. Best wishes to my number one fan. So if you're watching, Billy Boyd, I appreciate that. Thank you. I am your number one fan. I watch your podcast sometimes. You and Dom are the best. I don't have Return of the King in here. Sad.
Something
must be in one of those. That fell. One of the tragedies. What fell? Oh. So here's the time we met Andy Serkis. So this was the day Return of the King came out. That was because you said we were going to have a little story time. So I guess mine is really Return of the King. But so it was the night Return of the King came out. And so we stayed up all night because we were in Times Square. And so like here we are wandering around Rockefeller Center waiting for Late Night with Conan O'Brien to open its line because Elijah Wood was the guest that day. So we got in that line at 6 a.m. And then Andy Serkis was going to be at the Toys R Us signing like posters, I guess, or something. I think like at noon. And so so here we are at the Sbarro of dying because we had not slept in 36 hours. And then we made it back to Late Night, which I think would they record like around 4 or 5 o'clock or something. So that's my Lord of the Rings story, it were.
That is so cute.
Our there and back again segment.
My there and back again. Yeah,
it's so
we
cool
stayed
that
up
you
all
still
night.
have that.
Can you imagine being having that much energy, like being in college, like, or just like I stayed up all night so I could see Elijah Wood on Conan O'Brien.
That was me with the Lost. I went to the final Lost panel at Comic-Con and I waited in that line for hours, the Hall H line. That was
right. I remember, the Hall H line could like I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll wait in the line. I could not imagine doing that now. I won't even wait in line at Disneyland. I'm like, no, I'll pay for the fucking fast pass. I'm not doing this anymore. I wish I could recapture this. Yeah, like the really being excited about things of it all, but also like having the energy. Hey guys, wild thought. Return of the King is 3.5 hours long. So let us wander the streets of New York for 3 hours until the Conan O'Brien line opens at 6. How does that sound to everybody? Good. Let's do it.
And then like somehow you'll feel fine. Like
and I'll be able to keep going. I'm fine. I won't be dead.
I would need like a 1 week recovery window from an adventure like that.
It's like jet lag, okay, I need at least 3 or 4 days to recover from that. But yeah, I guess I keep buying new journals like with the intent of like getting back into scrapbooking, such as it were. But like it's one day, especially when you have kids, it's just like the ironic thing about having kids is you want to chronicle their stuff, but they're so exhausting you don't do anything.
It's torturous. I am finding myself in that.
Yeah. I have all their stuff in this box. Like one day we're gonna scrapbook that motherfucker.
My mom scrapbooked a bunch of mine. She like kept like my potty training books and stuff. It was weird and like cut them out.
Oh yeah, I think my mom kept the potty train. It's funny because like my kids were both a breeze to potty train, and so I feel like it's like when this struggle when you struggle with potty training, then you keep the books because you're like you don't know what I went through. You don't know how hard it was.
Well, just to finish out our letter here, I want to make sure we finish out our letter here. So when Return of the King premiered, I had my final exams at school. I wanted to catch the premiere, but that meant I only had 30 minutes to finish my social studies exam. So I wrote down my answers extremely fast, rushed out, jumped on my bike, and I made it just in time to see the movie. I got a 7, which is a C in your system, I think. So since then, I have watched the movies once a year. So that was a very, very sweet story that I wanted to share. You also asked some questions, but I'll save them for next time because we've been going on for a while. But I will also talk about There and Back Again. So Lindsay, you shared. Kim, do you have anything you want to share for your There and Back Again sequence?
My favorite memory about the Two Towers is not from seeing it in the theater per se, but from it must have been close to when it was coming out, or it had just come out on DVD, which again, remember youth, that used to take a much longer time, but like I feel like we used to wait like 7 or 8 months maybe,
especially like because the extended they took even longer. So I want to think that like they took almost a year.
I think they came out in prep for the next movie as like
they came out like just in time for Christmas.
Yeah. So okay, so then this tracks because in my mind I was like, I feel like this was a day that my mom took me Black Friday shopping. Again, back when like Black Friday shopping was waking up at like 3 a.m. to get a snow globe from Macy's because you whatever. I remember this was a day where I was like out with my family, just like doing chores, doing everything that everyone else in the family wanted basically. And then we finally get to a big box store. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I found this little setup of a like full surround sound system and a big fancy couch, and then just Lord of the Rings The Two Towers playing on like the biggest TV I had ever come across as like I'm not in a movie theater, and there was no one around, and my mom was like, yeah, you can sit here, and I got to sit there and like watch the whole lead up to Helm's Deep in the battle, and it was
that's
just
fun.
like having a surprise private movie screening. But it also like was one of these times where I was very aware that like my attachment to these movies wasn't quite in line with everyone else's around me, that everyone was like, wait, really, you just want to sit here? And I was like, no, please leave me in heaven, which is this like, private
like, this is
station.
Did you see this TV? It's like a rectangle. It's not a square.
Right, honestly, that was probably something of it too, that it was like rectangle, it was flat. Like,
I remember that, because I remember I had a debate. I think I still have these DVDs downstairs.
Yeah, the 4x3s.
the aspect ratio change.
Yes, we have to decide. Well, because I had the DVD set, is like you have to decide, do you want widescreen or do you want full screen DVDs? And I was like, I want the full screen because it fills the whole thing. And now I'm an adult. Like, no, I made a mistake. I've chosen wrong. Yeah, my there I'm back again. So I told you that I hadn't read the books. I read the books like after I saw the movie, and I got actually the audiobook for the not the audiobook, excuse me, the NPR like adaptations of Lord of the Rings that I listened to. They had like came in those wooden boxes when I was growing up, and so I listened to the NPR audio drama after I saw Two Towers for the first time.
You mean BBC?
No. So there's two. There's BBC ones and the NPR ones. Everyone hates the NPR ones, but I listen to the NPR ones.
I've never heard of the NPR ones.
Yeah, I actually don't know about these.
I actually really love them. Everyone shits on them, but again, I have childhood nostalgia for them because they're the ones that I remember. But there are two different ones. There's BBC and the NPR ones. I specifically had the NPR ones. But I listened to it, and I was in a car driving back my mom, and we had she had a big like van. And I was way in the back and she was way in the front, and it was dark and at night. And I listened to these adaptations, and I got to the Shelob section, which is in the Two Towers. And I got so scared. I had her pull over on the highway so that I could get up and sit next to her, because I got so terrified by Shelob in the Two Towers. But then I went back to the theater because Two Towers was still in theaters, because I was upset that they didn't have Shelob in the movie. And I was like, well, I wanted Shelob in the movie this time. Why isn't she here? She should be here. And then, of course, she's in Return of the King, so it's fine. But I just remember that being like such a formative, like, oh, I am too terrified of this giant spider audio drama thing. So.
And yet, like, your affinity for horror things, like, continued, right?
Yes.
I feel like
I love horror stuff.
When I was at this exact age, it must have been around the same time, because I was in middle school when all of this was happening, that I saw The Ring in theaters, and that like scarred me for life off of anything scary. So we had very different responses to all of this.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, look at this spooky stuff. It's traumatizing me. I'm going to lean in. Just traumatize me more, please.
Yeah, I took, so for those of us in Southern California, Oogie Boogie Bash at Disney's California Adventure is going on right now. And we did that a couple nights ago, and my 4-year-old was like, so there's a Guardians of the Galaxy dance party right outside of Mission Breakout. For those of you who don't know, Mission Breakout is what is the Guardian of the Galaxy re-theme of the Tower of Terror. Yeah. And what they do during Halloween is this thing called Monsters After Dark, which is, it's basically just Mission Breakout, but with like a slightly different theming. It's a little scarier. And the 4-year-old was like, I want to go on that one. And I was like, I don't know. Are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, it's pretty scary. And she's like, yeah, I want, if it's, yeah. And so we did it. She did the whole thing and like barely squeaked by on the height. But like, it's funny because like, she'll be like, monsters are scary, but then she'll keep wanting to watch like YouTube videos of that people have shot of like the ride, like to want to relive it, you know? So it's interesting how kids can like be fascinated by things that are scary. You know, it's like some kids are like the fear response is like, no, I got to get away from the thing. But some kids are just kind of like, you know, kind of fascinated by their own fear reaction.
No, that was definitely me, because speaking of Twilight, I'll share this last story that we can wrap up. But my dad, we went to Disney World, and I went on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and I was terrified. He always tells the story. I was screaming, was horrified with that whole ride, especially when you see like the eyeball and everything.
That sucker's scary.
Yeah.
It's dark.
But then after I got out, I made him take me back on it 3 times. So I just leaned full in. And
Yeah,
a
yeah.
response. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
some
great.
people are like that because like you might be disappointed by the Guardians one because it's fun.
Oh, I've seen, I've
Like,
written it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I like it.
it's
But
good.
yeah,
It's
that's
a good ride.
we're OT. We're OT.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're off topic. I
But, like, as
like
long-
it. It's a good ride, but yeah,
I like it. That's like one of the few reskins that I actually like. You know, and I do like Tower of Terror, but I think like the Disney World one was better
Mhm.
anyway, and we still have that, so I'm not mad.
Yeah.
But like I guess my one last thing before we start wrapping up is as long as I'm continuing the Andy Serkis glazing, if anybody is in the like. The last time I reread the book was I listened to the audiobook. It was for this video I did for Nebula like a year or two ago. And Andy Serkis did the most recent version of
Mhm.
it, and it slaps. It's fantastic. So if you're listening and you haven't, you know, maybe the actual tome of it all is a little daunting, give the Andy Serkis audiobook a listen. I think he also recently released the Silmarillion too.
I'm actually listening to that one right now
Oh,
because I'm prepping for the Rings of Power for that.
How is it?
Even it's really good. It's really good. I mean, he definitely adds a lot to it to make that little very dry book work much better.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like it.
He's
got thoughts. He's got
not the
thoughts.
greatest director. Sometimes
Yeah.
maybe he should, you know, keep his thoughts to himself. But like, he is a talent in many regards. So I still really like Andy Serkis.
Yes, I have thoughts on his upcoming Lord of the Rings movie and how he's discussed it, but we'll talk about it. But yes, he is very good at acting. He's a very good acting and very talented. So there is that. Well, that does bring us to the end of our episode. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And to
Yeah.
the reader who's excited about Rings of Power, I just want to say, you're welcome that I won't be on those episodes.
I did invite you to come on them if you wanted to, and you're like, no.
don't make me rewatch Rings of Power.
Oh, well, we'll have fun.
I was like,
when
wait,
we get
dude,
there.
so like, do you need someone to be just like the downer? Like, just be like, hey, everybody, did you know that the show is bad?
I have said it has high highs and very low lows.
To me, it has mids and low lows.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Ugh.
You're always welcome back if you want to come. But thank you for being here for this one. I
Yes,
really do
thank you for
appreciate it.
having me. We
Yes.
have fun.
We had fun here. Next week, we are going to be covering The Return of the King with yet another special guest who I will announce on next week's episode. And the week after that, we're going to be covering all of the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies in one episode. So be prepared for all that. Oh, and then we'll talk about the War of the Rohirrim movie after that, which I will defend is actually great. All right. Again, if you want to send us your feedback or any thoughts you'd like us to consider on the show, please email us at acastofkings@gmail.com. You can also watch video versions of this podcast at youtube.com/@acastofkings. And even more importantly, if you want to support the show and other shows on the Decoding TV podcast network, such as David Chen's Decoding TV podcast, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at decodingtv.com, where you can also get ad-free episodes of this and other Decoding TV podcasts, as well as any bonus content that we do, which we will do for the Rings of Power. With all that said, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week for The Return of the King.
Bye.